Welcome back to another remote viewing video. So I ended up doing the big remote view I said I was going to do towards the end of the month, and I did remote view the Mossad intelligence agency. So just a few disclaimers before getting into the video. First, if you are not able to handle a lot of information that is very graphic in detail, this video is not for you. So I recommend do not watch this video. We're touching into a lot of different things that I encountered. Once again, if you are not in the best spot, please do not watch this video. Two, as always, especially with remote viewing videos, use your discernment. There's going to be a lot of information that came forward that, let's just say it's going to be a wild video. And so please use your discernment. Take what resonates, leave what does not resonate. And that's all I'm able to say. I just always want to give that disclaimer before sharing anything. And I have a lot of notes. I need to be very cautious of how I present the information today. That's all I'm able to say. So let's get right into this video. Not a long introduction today, just cutting right to the chase. And yes. So I recently remote viewed the Mossad intelligence agency that is based in Israel. And so it took me 3 attempts to get into the facility. When I say the psychic agents that were guarding this facility, I don't know if they were Israeli military or literally just dedicated towards that facility in general. When I say the psychic agents out there do not fuck around, they are real psychic agents. They are guarding that facility. Guarding, okay? So out of all the other remote views I've done, never have I encountered so many psychic agents. It had to take me 3 attempts just to get into the facility. So how I remote view, I basically go into a translate state in meditation, close my eyes, cut my cords, set my intentions, and I just am able to remote view and really go to anywhere I want. So I've done a lot of remote viewing videos in the past. So I just want to, for first-time watchers, that's how I remote view. I'm able to remote view people, locations, other stuff going on, timelines, etc. So it took me 3 attempts to get into the facility. And so when I remote viewed this particular facility, stuff that I encountered wasn't necessarily happening at that exact same time. Let's say I remote view right now. When I went there, a lot of that, what I saw wasn't necessarily, happening at the same time as I was remote viewing, if that makes sense. So I was able to really collect information on sort of, key things that are going down. Meaning I was taken to the information that I had to relay to you guys. So I wasn't I was going there when nothing was going on. I was going there to get information that I was, designated to get when I set my intentions. Okay. And once again, this video, another disclaimer, it's not about fear, religion, or belief systems. Really, it truly isn't. I'm sure people are going to interpret it that way. My intention is to see what the actual fuck is going on. And I just really, when I remote view, I let all my guards down and I'm just shown, okay, what do I need to share with you guys? because like this video is going to be really intense. Okay, I have so many notes here. Okay, so yes, so I was led into a top intelligence room inside this facility. And as I was going around, I was just like seeing, okay, what's going on? Nothing really surface level was like, you know, I was just like going around, whatever, like nothing surface level was particularly off. It seemed like a regular intelligence agency. So then I was led to this like top secret room. And I remote view in this room. And lo and behold, it was a meeting between Epstein and that prime minister. And in that moment, I actually had to come back to my body because I actually like needed to like sit down and process what I just saw. So I'm there, I'm like, I see Epstein having a meeting with the prime minister guy, which we're going to get more into him in this video. They were having a meeting, and this was recent as of early 2026. So I had to come back to my body because at that moment, like I was like, I need my human to process like what happened, like what I just saw, because like I never really remote viewed, okay, whatever happened with Epstein. So, and this is all just such, you know, significant timing as all this stuff is coming out finally after years. So I see them having, obviously, you know, this conversation. I had to leave. Like, so when I remote view a lot, I literally can like leave, get information, come back to my body, collect information, or write down the information, and then I go and collect information, back in the remote view, come back, write information down. So that's basically what I was doing. So I see Epstein and that prime minister guy having a conversation. So I need to get specific. Yes, so this happened as of early 2026. Okay. So first, before I got information on what the actual fuck is going on with Epstein, because this remote view obviously clarified that he's not dead to me from what I saw. And I never really even thought, I honestly never remote viewed whatever happened to him. So like this was all new, and like the fact it all got flagged out to me right now is astonishing. So then I remote viewed this prime minister guy because I just needed to get information. And then I, like, as I was there, I was like remote viewing. So meanwhile, okay, so I'm in this room and they were partially informed, but they were both like reptilian, like fully reptilian. So they were like, it wasn't like full, like it was almost like partially shapeshifted, like not full form, but like when they were having this meeting, they were like, you could tell that they are on the same team. So when I remote viewed the prime minister, I saw that that being, because it's full, he's a full reptilian, like full reptilian. He is high up in the global political shadow government. So when we look at levels of the shadow government, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, that reptilian leader thing is on, or I don't even know what to call it because it's not a human. The prime, I'll just call it like the prime minister. like, he's tier 4 out of 5. Okay, like, he's up in the global network. He is like at the level of literally working with reptilians. Like, he has a reptilian mission, which I'm going to get into. Yep, so the information I got, he serves his reptilian bloodline and was born into this position. So almost like when we think of the Illuminati, or when we think of the shadow government, like, it's all bloodlines, right? It's all like, they want, the power is within the bloodline. So I got direct information, like, that whole bloodline is reptilian. Right, so he's serving his bloodline and the reptilians. Okay, so then I was like, what's the soul mission of that reptilian? Because, like, we know reptilian soul missions are not, like, pretty, you know, like, they're not. I want to, like, always say there are 5% of reptilians that are good, and that really have been trying to help the shift. So I don't want to say all reptilians are bad, but the ones that have the influence, the power, the money, like, those are obviously just the negative reptilians that have enslaved humanity. Okay. The sole mission of that particular reptilian is, I got direct information. His mission is to initiate conflict, escalate wars, amplify instability with the goal of creating maximum death, destruction, and chaos. So that's that sole mission of the reptilian. I know it's, like, weird saying reptilians have souls, but, like, they kind of do. So it's like they signed, you know, that's their mission. That's what they're brought up to do. That's their contract. Like, that's the contract to that being, to, like, get the power, get the influence. And when I was channeling, like, about this, like, okay, what? And, like, because then I was channeling and I was, like, trying to get information on, like, what this all meant with the prime minister guy. And what came forward was, the words that came forward when I was channeling were, it's almost like he's like the Queen Elizabeth of the Middle East. And when we think of Queen Elizabeth, like, tier 4, like, reptilian, you know, bloodline, whatever, there are not a lot of outrightly facing leaders that are, like, tier 4. And, like, that prime minister guy is tier 4, like, Queen Elizabeth level. So very deep within the whole, like, really up there, okay? Yes, so basically reptilian soul mission by that prime minister guy. So and meanwhile, this is all just from me remote viewing the facility. We're going to get into so much more. I just stumbled across this meeting, and we are getting into Epstein. Just wait. Okay, and then what else did I say? Yes. Okay, yes. So another part of his soul mission is to keep the Middle East operating in the lowest vibrational state as possible. So that's why that reptilian mission he has is to keep that energetic portal operating at the lowest vibrational state by, you know, like, pushing wars, pushing agendas, deep connection to trafficking, which we're getting into, but keeping that Middle East portal at the lowest vibrational state so it could keep the planetary frequency low. What reptilians do, they do, you know, they want to keep the portals low. They want to keep, you know, when we look at just sort of events that have happened around portals, like the Maui fires, right? Elite ritual on the portal, right, of Maui. There's a sacred portal around Maui, and they did that on the 88 day, which numerology is connected to. The elite use some numerology to hijack the positive energy to do their rituals. And then, for example, like the LA fires, there's a big energy portal around LA, so they target portals. So there's a big portal and energetic grid line in the Middle East, and that reptilian is meant to, like, its mission is to keep it at the lowest vibrational state possible by creating, like, as much conflict as possible. And okay, yep. So once again, I'm fully uncensored in this video, and I really do not care if this video gets taken down on YouTube. So be it, because I actually don't care, and if my whole channel gets taken down, I really don't give a fuck at this point. So save my username, you'll know where to find me eventually. I did see that this particular being shows up to rituals and sacrifices on a very frequent basis, and yeah, so very high up in like tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, like you are doing rituals constantly, you're doing sacrifices constantly. That being is very prevalent in ritualistic and sacrificial, yeah, very involved in that. Okay, so they're having this conversation, which I'm going to get into like what I was able to cloak about the conversation, but now we're getting into, okay, you know, what's the story with Epstein? Why is he alive and in Israel, right? Like, what the fuck is actually going on? So I got all the information. So I saw the information that I was able to cloak was they flew him out to Israel the end of June 2019 to seek refuge. Okay, yes. I saw the plan for him was to go continue operations underground around that time. So basically, I want to read from my notes instead of like not, because I'm like, do I just want to like talk off the top of my head or read my notes? So, because I know what I found, but I just want to make sure the wording's right. Yes, okay, so they fly him out. They're like, hey, you got to come out here. They got advanced intelligence of, you know, that he wasn't going to be able to continue doing what he was doing. So basically, I saw particularly 3 years prior to his arrest in 2016, intelligence that was close with Epstein and his connections between Israel already were aware that an arrest was coming and that his above ground operations were running out of time. Okay, so much more information. So I saw particularly as QAnon, Pizzagate, and other truth movements began to emerge, panic started setting in between the with the Epstein network. So they were already knowing, okay, these, you know, we're not going to be able to hide everything forever. They started losing their shit when the QAnon and Pizzagate stuff began. Which all ended up turning out to be true. Okay, so let's see. Yes, so they had 3 years of intelligence. Okay, something's coming. We got to whip up a clone. So I saw that advanced planning was already taking place up to 3 years prior. They had the intelligence, okay, that this clone, like, so yes, he was an agent for the, that reptilian, that's, you know, basically the Queen Elizabeth of the Middle East. Like I said, I'm not really gonna, like, I'm trying not to, like, say names and all that, but, so basically, very deep connection with that, you know, high up shadow government, and we're gonna get into stuff and all that. Okay, so I saw advanced planning taking place to remove him while allowing operations to continue underground. So basically, they ended up flying him out, and he's been working a lot of underground operations, especially with trafficking since. So we're going to get into that starting the end of June 2019. So they start whipping up this clone 3 years in advance, because when we get into clones, some of these clones take a long time, because now I was like cloaking for information on, okay, then how did they fake his death? Whatever. So 3 years in advance, they were like, okay, we got to whip up a clone. So they start, you know, whipping up this clone. Clones could take up to 2 to 3 years just to develop. I guess a good example that I'm able to give on sort of the length that it could take to like generate a clone is looking back at, let's just say like that the Biden situation, right? So I was remote viewing the facility constantly, and they didn't start making that new clone until the end of 2023. Clones take, 2 to 3 years to generate. So as I was remote viewing every couple months, we're in the early 2024, and I was remote viewing to the facility, watching them like tap in to see, okay, what's the status of that Biden clone? I knew they weren't going to have the clone out in time. And lo and behold, they couldn't get the clone out in time for the election, right? So, because they couldn't do it within a year, that would have taken 2 to 3 years. They didn't expect that original clone to break down. So, but they were ready to go for the Epstein arrest, basically. Like, they had this advanced intelligence. They had advanced intelligence that he wasn't going to be able to get away with it much longer as truth was beginning to slowly emerge. Okay. And then, yes, so they got that clone ready. That clone, for example, they started it in 2016. That clone was ready in early 2019. So it was ready for the time of the arrest, almost. So what ended up happening was, they killed off the clone in the jail cell. Like, this is literally all the information I'm getting. I know, like, this video's, I don't even care. Like, I'm just saying what I saw, and like, at this point, like, what do I even have to fucking lose? So anyway, like, they kill off this clone in the jail cell and like stage the death, but like they flew him / like the reptilian body out to Israel. Specifically, they did that late June of 2019. That's the exact time that got flagged out to me that I was able to cloak for information on. Okay, so yes, they got. Okay, so Epstein's job right now is working for Shadow Intelligence Underground. He was connected to this intelligence agency, the Mossad agency, for decades and decades. But really, they basically are like, okay, like, you're going to have to come over here and start working underground for us. So now we're getting into trafficking. So I saw underground trafficking operations that are Mossad-led are coordinated and working through shadow intelligence structures. Epstein's role as of today is still actively helping with this network, working as a part of a larger controlled system. So when we talk about the liberation of trafficking, the white hats, the GFL, the groups that are actually helping behind the scenes, they really have cleared America. They have cleared a lot of other areas. But if we were to label it down to the few, and it's still happening, I'm not saying it's 100%, but America was pretty, big clearing happened 2020, 2021, underground and all that. But if we were to pinpoint where is trafficking rampant right now, it's Eastern Europe, Ukraine. That's exactly where it's rampant right now, and Israel. Okay, I'm just saying it for what it is because this is where I've remote viewed and seen all these. So those are the two particular areas where trafficking and ritual abuse are out of control. So Epstein is currently assisting with this. I honestly am just not even shocked because I'm like, at this point, it's like when I'm remote viewing, like, why do I need to be shocked anymore? Like, I'm just totally just like, you know what? I'm not even surprised. Okay, so working underground, still connected to the Mossad intelligence. Okay, so a conversation that I cloaked for when he was having a conversation with that guy, with the prime minister guy, was they were both having a conversation about trafficking Arab and Eastern European children with numbers in the tens of thousands. So I remember over a year ago, I was getting information that a big reason why they wanted to destabilize the Middle East and, Ukraine, not only to like, you know, start a war, but it was because they wanted to displace and take more children into trafficking. So basically that's a core of it, and a lot of it other stuff is like buying up the land after and needing the land for money and all that. So it's like a big elite agenda where it's like, okay, you get to take the land and you also get to displace a lot of children. So they were having a conversation on that. And then so I did see in particular that there were so I told about the discussions with that. And then I also saw children being moved. Like, so they took a lot of children from like the middle, from where the war zone was, like in particularly like Gaza. They took a lot of the children, and a lot of them are in trafficking in really unfortunate situations currently. And my God, I don't even know how to say this. This remote view is insane. Okay, so I also was able to see that they have been using a lot of other children, not only just for trafficking, but experimentation. So, really wild stuff is going on. Okay, and it's not only... So there is a connection between particularly, like, what's going on there in Ukraine, like a deep tie. So they were, like, in this meeting, they were basically talking about, like, they were basically, like, sharing all the information or, like, on sort of how to continue doing this, like, global blackmail network with sort of the destabilized areas. And that's what I saw. I don't want to like over elaborate. Okay, and then I was able to get information. So like I'm just like around the facility, just like remote viewing, and like this, like it gets even more fucking wild as I'm like, because I was ended up doing this remote view for 2 hours. Like, and like when I came back to my body, I was like, holy shit. It's been like 2 hours, like when I was officially done, like, because I would come back and forth. But when I was done, I was getting all the information for 2 hours. I literally have like 6 pieces of paper that I wrote on. So, okay, so yes, I was able to get information on, especially remote viewing some of like files within the facility, that there are other, like people, or shall I say reptilians, that are doing the exact same job above ground that Epstein. So right now Epstein is underground working in Israel. That's what I saw. Still tied to Mossad intelligence. So working underground, all the deep state stuff underground, like they have not cleared the Middle East yet. I mean, Israel in specific, the white hats, and this is the information I got, have not been able to clear out what's been going on in the Middle East and Ukraine. But I did end up channeling with them in the video. I didn't write anything down, but what they basically told me was they're mobilizing and they're going to go in 2027 and like liberate underground in the Middle East and Ukraine. So those areas are going to get freed. Okay, so basically, like, yeah, so once again, this is so much information. Yeah, so there are other, like, Epstein-like reptilian individuals doing the exact same job, getting away with it. They're a little less profiled, but there's maybe another 4 to 5 working, doing the same blackmail operation that Epstein is currently doing, that are still working above ground, but they're not able to continue doing what they're doing for much longer. Okay, yes, I need to actually get into this. I got more information on what's going on with that intelligence agency and trafficking. We're not even getting into politics yet. This is like going to be a long video. I saw not all not all children were just being, once again, trafficked or used as experiments. I saw that there were some children that are being sent off planet, honestly. And like, that's just literally what I saw. Like, that exact image, I saw like reptilians taking like Arab children off planet and like taking them in for like, I couldn't even cloak for information on what they're doing, but they're being taken off planet. And I'm like, so the trafficking network in the Middle East is out of fucking control. Out of fucking control. Okay, like, they're being sent underground, they're being sent into trafficking, ritual abuse, and off planet, and for experimentation. And a lot of it, once again, are these Arab children, particularly from the Gaza situation, other destabilizing efforts in that area, and there are connections to the Ukraine trafficking grid, an Eastern European trafficking grid between the two. So it's like there is so much shadow ties, and this video is not remote viewing Ukraine and what's going on there. That's literally just Mossad, but I'm getting all these connections. Okay. Now we're getting into political stuff. So, as I was remote viewing, I saw that, okay, there is a big intelligence operation originating from the Mossad that is driven to blackmail global, not only political figures, but CEOs, really these top-notch, like, when we look at, okay, what's running the world, it's like this agency this agency is top-tier shadow government. Like, the Mossad agency is number 4 out of 5, like, legit, like, working for, like, it's the reptilian agenda, right? When we look at Mossad, when we look at CIA, a lot of connections, but Mossad seemed to be closer. Mossad seemed to be even more higher up and honestly just directing even the CIA, which is honestly like fucking wild. Like, I would have thought, okay, maybe they just would have been at the same level, but it's like they're calling the shots around the world almost. So yeah, top tier shadow government Illuminati. Okay. So once again, they have a shit ton of blackmail on like political figures and Hollywood, like all these organizations. Like, I don't even need to get into all of them. But I saw US political figures and other global figures flown into Israel repeatedly. These are individuals that are doing their bidding and have signed certain contracts and have blackmail on them. So either you sign a contract to be well off, but in the contract for the Illuminati, if it's a political figure, you're signing a contract high, like you can grow your political career. You could grow this career. You could do that, but you have to do the bidding of our almost like agency. It's very deep what's going on here. So it's like, you need to do our bidding, right? Like, you need to do our, like, what we tell you. Like, if you sign these documents, you are locked in this relationship of needing to push certain narratives, do the bidding for us, so our reptilian control over whatever we're able to get away with, which is a lot, can continue, and whatever the narrative of what people think is going on out there will just continue. Okay? So it's like people either sign contracts not knowing what they're getting into, but they have to do the bidding of this intelligence agency, or they are fucked, which we're going to get into. A lot of the other time, it's like people with really good intentions are coming in and either wanting to make, do something good in the world, whatever. this particular agency will then collect blackmail on that particular individual and basically present the blackmail to them and be like, if you don't want, or if you, don't want this to come out, like, you're doing our bidding. And a lot of the time, it's not even anything significant. They can orchestrate, like, if they could target people in different ways, which I'm not fully going to get into, on how they can, like, it could be something, like, minor that's made into something not necessarily that the person's done, but they're able to, like, plant stuff and to set up, collect enough blackmail stuff on them to, like, fuck them over. But it's typically just, okay, what situations have they been compromised in? And then that's how they'll collect that blackmail information. So those are basically the two ways that people get sucked into doing the bidding of this particular shadow government organization. And this goes so much deeper than America. This goes so much deeper than Israel. This is literally, they are like one of the cores of the shadow government globally, this agency. I mean, I don't know how else. I mean, this is fucking mind-blowing. Okay, so a lot of the time, signs to look out for, and then I'm going to get into some of the rituals that they have to do, because there are rituals involved with political figures or anyone who has to do the bidding of this agency. And the bidding of the agency is like, you need to basically do what they fucking tell you to do. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's like, it's not even like they're getting orders from anyone in the US. It's like this agency and like the intelligence around this agency is like, you do what we say. Like, we are basically calling the shots for, like, America, honestly, like that. And they're working with the CIA. They're working with, like, what? Yes. Okay. Which we're about to get into so much more. So a lot of the time when political figures they get flown out and they need to go, like, as there are rituals that they need to do, right? When they're getting flown out, they have to fly out to Israel, and there are rituals. So, like, for example, if you're caught up in this, if you have blackmail on you, or if you, sign a contract and you are in this shadow organization, there are rituals you need to do. And a lot of the time, some are planned and some are not planned, but I'll give examples for both. So one is, annually so I did see around late summer, there is a ritual for, global political figures that they have to do out there in Israel. And a lot of it is, they're getting flown out to Israel, and they need to do, like, they have so much blackmail on them, and, like, this intelligence agency, like, they're basically doing their bidding. So it's almost like there's different types of rituals, but particularly I saw, like, a lot of blackmailed male political figures within the US have to do rituals on behalf of, like, this reptilian organization. And basically they are taking place in Israel underground. And a lot of the time it's very disturbing, but it's typically like an all male orgy, like, of, like, well-known figures, and it's all recorded. It's a massive, like, same-sex orgy, either with like a young child or an animal. Typically the animals are either a goat or a dog. It's so fucked up. Like, I know, I'm just sharing with you guys everything that I saw. So when they do these rituals, so it's either a goat or a dog. So they do, it's a blood and sex ritual so they do it fluctuates. A lot of the time it's a young child or an animal. So they do a blood and sex ritual, and it's all filmed. And, like, this is, like, once again, if they don't show up to these rituals, they have blackmail on them. Like, they are fucked. They are fucked. Like, they have no choice but to do these rituals willingly or unwillingly. So they get flown out there, and it's like, so typically there's once a year where a lot of political figures go at once. Typically, I saw, particularly summertime, a lot of political figures fly out there at once globally, not just from America, a lot from America, but others. And they have to do a filmed blood and sex ritual immediately into a sacrifice. So I saw that very clearly. So it's like, it's almost like, particularly like the sex ritual is like a group of male political men. Like, it's like they're doing, it's almost like a, it's once again, it's like a same-sex orgy with like a child or an animal, and it's all filmed, right? Like, it's all like they have to do it. Like, it's a ritual. Like, they need to go immediately into a sacrifice. So it's really it's like, what's okay. I'm just sharing everything that I was able to find. Okay, so once again, like, they're not doing as, like, this agency is calling in rituals among politicians, and, you know, it's not even just political figures. It could be people in Hollywood. They have to fly out there to do rituals, and there's a lot of sacrificial satanic rituals that are going on underground in the Israel area currently. So that's why, you know, for these rituals, they need to fly out there and then do the rituals and sacrifices out there. So that's one, like, there's one set ritual they all have to go to, particularly during the summertime. That's that first window. And then the other ritual is, okay, if you see, and like, this is when, like, we could spot when they're going out to do these blood and sex and sacrifice rituals. Typically, like, a lot of the political figures sometimes get called to be like, hey, you got to fly out here right now. A lot of the time it is because they need to go to a ritual or a sacrifice. But basically, keep in mind of the volume of what type of political figures are flying out there, or any type of figure. A red flag that somebody's flying out there because they need to do a blood and sex and sacrifice ritual of that reptilian organization is, you know, they're flying out there a lot. Like, for example, if there's somebody like in the government that's not necessarily high up, like presidential level, needing to like take trips out there constantly, it's because that particular individual is being called to take place in the rituals and sacrifices. So that's happening out there. Okay, and then, see, I'm not even reading my notes because at this point I'm just like halfway back in meditation, just telling you guys what I found. And then, yes, so once again, another type of ritual, like I said, is these political figures are flying, like, for example, it could be like the middle of the week, and they could get a call from a top tier in this agency, you know, whatever, like saying, hey, you know, on Friday, November 11th at 11 p.m., like, you need to come out here for a ritual and sacrifice. Like, fly out there. Like, and sometimes they're even just given 48 hours notice. You got to get on a plane. We got to do a sacrifice. It's like, I'm just like, at this point, the world is just like, nothing is what it seems. But I was happy I was able to get all this information. We're getting into more. Just wait. So it's like, hey, you got to do a ritual and sacrifice. And so a lot of the time, like, political figures or like well-known figures will only have a short period to get out for that sacrifice and ritual. If they do not get out in time, if they do not show up to the rituals, if they do not show up to the sacrifices, they are fucked. They are fucked. And that's when, like, we see, you know, stuff come out about people and all that. They're holding all the blackmail. They need you for the rituals, right? They're giving you this political career. They're doing all this. Like, if you are not showing up to these sacrifices and rituals, you are not, it's not going to end well for you. So then we got into political stuff. So after I got all this fucking information, I then cloaked to see, okay, we know this, like, shadow government elite tie. What other operations has this agency been involved in? Because at this point, I knew this is, like, they are deep in, like, this is tier 4, like, shadow government Illuminati. Like, what's going on with this agency. Tier 4, okay? Tier 5 is literal just reptilian beings. Like, they're up there, right? They're fucking shit up. So I then cloaked. So I was in the facility, and then I was, like, cloaking around, and, like, once again, like, I got access to some information, but I still was like, there's more that I need to get. And this is when we are getting into operations that they have been involved in. And what I uncovered, just wait. So I remote view into this room, and it was like a dark room, very techy. This was underground. This is like top secret, like, room in this facility. And there was, like, this holographic document titled, what was it titled? It was titled Successful Operations. Successful Operations. So I'm, like, just looking through this, like, it's like this electronic, like, holographic, I don't even know what it was, but I was then cloaking and seeing all these images and stuff that was going on inside, you know, this stored, almost like holographic material of all these classified things that they've been involved in. When I opened up the holographic, like, when I was just, like, going through it, the first thing that I saw, here we go, was I saw an image of an agent of that facility with a gun. And then I was, like, continuing more, because it was, like, around a particular incident. And they have all this logged in this, like, holographic, like, thing. So I was, like, going through this machine thing, like, it was, like, I've never seen anything like it. I was going through it, I was like, okay, why is there, like, a Mossad agent with a gun? And then there was multiple pictures and videos in this, like, video things that I was, like, just seeing. And I was then, like, looking for more and more and more with this particular incident. And I kept going by, and I saw a gun pointed at someone. And it was, like, a black and white photo. And it was this agent. And they had all intelligence people around them, like, helping them carry out an operation. So as I was continuing more and more, I saw that it was an agent shooting John F. Kennedy. It was a Mossad agent shooting John F. Kennedy. So at this point, I was like, holy fuck. Like, I'm in this fucking holographic thing, seeing this. Like, what is going on? Like, this is fucking mind-blowing. What else am I gonna find? So I saw, like, it was an intelligence operation. It was a CIA, or I get them both. It was a Mossad operation, but, like, with the help of carrying it out in the United States by the CIA. So I saw that very clearly. And next, I saw another event, which was on 9/11. And I saw that in this image that I was being shown was Mossad agents. They were across, so the image was from across the river. So if you were to look at the Twin Towers from a distance, they were like, they were far from it, but it was visible. I don't really know the geography of New York, but it's like they were maybe just across the river, but like just maybe it could have been like the Hudson River, but they had a good view of the buildings. And it was agents in this documented video and photo celebrating with their thumbs up. They were like all like, as one of the towers was falling down. These were Mossad agents like on the ground, and they were all celebrating, and like, it's so fucked up. It is so fucked up what happened with all this. Like, and the fact that they could just like, get away with fucking anything. So anyway, these agents were celebrating because they were overseeing that operation, and they had to be around the area, and they were across the river celebrating and it's all like weirdly documented in this holographic like machine thing. So I was just like seeing all this. I was like, what? Like, so these agents were like celebrating, and they were really happy, and it was just like all documented as it was ongoing. And they were like communicating back to the agency in Israel, like as it was happening, and communicating, like it was just a full shadow government operation. I mean, I think we all know that at this point, but I didn't know that like they actually were able to like, that they helped facilitate it. So I got that information on 9/11. And then I also got, they have actually helped facilitate terror attacks on Israel. And I saw particularly in 2010, when I was cloaking through all these archives, they started funding terrorist organizations to like plan attacks, and they've supplied them with weapons. They like supply, I mean, when I say the reptilian, going back to the prime minister, that reptilian is calling the shots. That reptilian is calling the shots. Like the Queen Elizabeth of the Middle East, like this is that, like it's like he knows what his fucking mission is, and it's to fuck shit up. Like he knows he's like involved in staging attacks. He knows he's doing all that, right? But it's a reptilian mission. So like, anyway, so like, but I was shown that they started, you know, giving terror organizations, you know, supplies, and they were providing them all with intelligence, and basically telling them when to attack so that they can. So basically the terror organizations in that area are all actually working for Mossad. That's information I got very clearly. They're all working for Mossad, and they're actually all on the same team. It's like these high up terror organizations and like the reptilians, like they're all like just taking their orders, and like it just goes to show that people are like so divided and turned on people over situations when like the two groups are like friendly, right? Like the Mossad intelligence and these quote terrorists are like fucking working together. So it's like, it just goes to show that like nothing is what we've seen. But I did see that they helped facilitate and provide all the weapons, because I was then shown the attack that happened a couple years ago on Israel by the terrorist organization. And I was shown that the facility or the agency gave all the supplies and gave the dates and times for them to orchestrate the attack. And they basically were like, okay, like when we tell you to come, like you gotta come, and we're not gonna be able to stop you. Like you come in and do what we want you to do, so that then we could do what we need to do. And they're all working for like reptilians. So like that's basically what that whole attack was about. And it was orchestration with the particular agency, and that reptilian actually like called the green light on the attack. So anyway, I saw that very clearly. And then next, this is so upsetting, but so as I was like cloaking through, okay, what other stuff have they done? I got information about Charlie Kirk. And I just want to take everybody back to my remote viewing predictions video from July to December. I remote viewed that Israel and the United States were working together to do a false flag operation between September 7th and the 21st. Charlie Kirk was killed on September 10th. And it was a Mossad operation. And before I get into, because I then cloaked for information, and I saw that I got information on there was a plane. So I know there was talk about an Egyptian military plane, but I actually came across that information. So before I get into that video I did on my thumbnail, it was literally the false flag, right? I wrote false flag, and then it was a picture of like Trump and RFK shaking hands at a fucking Turning Point rally. And that was the exact fucking facility that like that whole memorial thing was in. And it was a total fucking false flag takeover, which is the information that I got, which I'm going to share with you guys everything that I got. But check out that video. I wish I could have gotten the exact details nailed down that they were going to assassinate someone, but I did get flagged out that Israel and the U.S. were going to do a false flag, and they did the false flag on the 10th and killed Charlie Kirk, but I said it was going to happen between the 7th and 21st. So they planned this Charlie Kirk thing in advance, and they wanted him to, so they didn't have blackmail on him. They didn't have, and like this is all the information that I was able to cloak and get. They did not have blackmail on Charlie Kirk. They did not, like because they wanted him to do their bidding, right? They wanted him in his organization to do their bidding, okay? So, yes, he had ties to people that are deeply serving this organization, or this really deep network of, this is really like, this Mossad agency is connected to like they are literally connected to reptilians. Like I'm not like, this is like literally how deep it gets. So like, I'm just saying it for what it is. So I cloaked for all the information I was able to on like who killed Charlie Kirk and like this whole operation. So what I was shown was the reptilian, aka the thing on the thumbnail of this video, ordered. So that reptilian wanted him to do the bidding for everything that this, intelligence agency was doing. And they didn't have blackmail on him, so that he had to be able to agree to that, right? He was pushing back, which is what I saw. Charlie Kirk was pushing back. He was like, no, I don't want to do your bidding, and I don't want to do what you want me to do, because, like, in order to fully do the bidding, like, you're basically under full fucking order, right? So he was given 3 chances by the reptilian, to agree to do the bidding for this organization, this top secret, organization, with his particular organization, which has been taken over by that organization. So it's like, it's this world. Okay. So unfortunately, Charlie stood his ground, he did stand his ground, so good for him. And he said, no, I'm not doing your bidding. So I saw in the files of the assassination, the reptilian head of state of that prime minister ordered the hit on August 20th, 3 weeks before September 10th. That's when they got U.S. intelligence and military involved and Egyptian channels for this operation. It was a special military operation and intelligence operation. And unfortunately, I was led right to this Egyptian military plane. I was led to the Egyptian military plane that people were kind of talking about. Oh, could this have done something? I'm just going to call the Prime Minister the reptilian because it's like literally a reptilian. So the reptilian, right? Prime Minister thing basically, calls up Egypt on August 20th being like, hey, like, we need you to help assist us in this operation because like they're also working together, that intelligence agency. So like the U.S. intelligence agency is Mossad and Egypt are all kind of like, they all have each other's back, right? So I did see like him calling up being like, hey, we need one of your planes. He literally was like, we cannot do an operation with like a plane fully like registered to Israel because that would be even more suspicious. So like we need to use an Egyptian plane. So basically on that Egyptian plane, because then I was like, because in this document with all these fucking false flags that they've done, like I was able to see all their false flags and then I would go in and get information on, okay, how this actually happened. So that with this Charlie Kirk thing, I was led to the guy, right? The reptilian guy. So, long story short, this Egyptian military plane, and like, this is a very long video because I'm sharing with you guys all the shit that they're doing to consciously liberate ourselves from what's been fucking going on. This Egyptian military plane was ordered by that, head of state to carry out the operation, and there were 3 Mossad agents on the plane. 3 Mossad agents on the plane to help carry out that operation. So it was carried out particularly by, it was originated with Mossad, but it also, American intelligence were kind of like, had to go along with it because Mossad is basically higher up than American intelligence. So they're like, hey, we're doing our fucking operation that involves needing to take out this person. That's what we're going to be doing. Nothing you can do about it. So they take him out, and it was a special, Mossad operation. The reptilian leader of that country ordered the fucking operation. Like, oh my God, it's so sad. It's like, how can this reptilian like get away with everything that it's done? But it's literally, once again, it's like literally the Queen Elizabeth of the Middle East. Like, it's calling the fucking shots. So yes. Okay. So basically that operation was done because he was not wanting to do their bidding. He didn't have to do any rituals. That's why there wasn't any blackmail on them. I was then like really remote viewing because I did tap into the scene when that happened. I know I didn't do a video on it, but basically what ended up happening was on that day, it was a military operation. And on that day, I actually did channel with him and made sure he crossed over because I was like really just upset with the situation because I kind of knew they were going to do a false flag, but then I didn't know that was the false flag until they did the false flag. So, but basically, yes. So I need to like wrap this video up soon because it's so much information, but I'm trying to give you guys every fucking detail of what this fucking agency is doing. Because I was able to get all this information while remote viewing. Like, I have so many sheets of paper and notes. So, yes. Oh, okay, we're not even done with the video because I have more stuff that I have to say. Okay, so I saw that so yes, they did the operation and they basically, killed Charlie Kirk, and now that whole turning point is run by Mossad. basically. Like, Mossad is running Turning Point right now. And I don't even want to, like, say the exact name, but let me just say the wife is an asset. Okay. The wife is an asset, and the wife is signed contracts to work for them. Okay. I know, this is, like, fucking mind-blowing. I could do a whole video on that person one day, maybe. So then that was all the past stuff. I wanted to see, are they planning on doing anything else in the future? So I remote viewed the future timeline, and they typically plan their false flag operations like 2 years in advance, typically. So I saw that, once again, if we are aware of this, we can shift the timeline so this won't happen. I did possibly see that towards... So I saw that beginning in August of 2025, because they plan it typically 2 years in advance, with the exception of the Charlie Kirk situation. That was only 3 weeks in advance, because they wanted to see if he would eventually do their bidding. They gave him time. He said no, so that's why they had to take him out. Okay. So I tapped in to this future, through this, to see, okay, what are they planning in the future for false flags? Unfortunately, I was led that this intelligence, this organization, they are attempting to orchestrate a significant false flag-like situation around August of 2027. And I then, after this remote view, I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening in August of 2027? A Middle East total solar eclipse. So if this agency does not collapse, which the white hats are really going to try and literally give us all this, all this information is going to come out, right? So it's like the white hats next year, 2027, they're getting ready to go and really fucking wipe out all this corruption. Because this is not saying this is the people of Israel or this or that. This is literally the whole reptilian organization chose to use this particular area and made this whole thing happen to use this as almost ground zero for the global network, right? That's why there's been so much conflict. This is shadow government ground zero. So they are potentially planning a significant false flag operation around August of 2027. And I need to say that because I was right with that they were planning a false flag for September of 2025. So we can shift the timeline. If we think if we just put out into whatever, we just put it out consciously, we know you guys are planning a significant false flag operation again, like all the other ones you guys have done. A year from this August, you can't do it because we consciously know about it. We are able to shift out of that timeline. But I did see they are working together to do a significant event, a significant false flag. I couldn't pinpoint an exact area, but it seemed to have been in that area again. It did not seem to be America. But once again, I didn't necessarily see a where. I just got this agency, they're going to attempt to do another false flag around the August 2nd eclipse in 2027. But this agency, so the future timeline of this agency, yes, they might try and do one more big false flag event. They want to keep, using political people to do their bidding, and they want to keep really fucking running the world, honestly, which is what they're doing. they're not going to be able to get away with all this shit much longer. They're not. And I just want to make that clear, because I don't want to make it seem like, okay, it's doom and gloom, they might be planning more things in the future. That's not necessarily the case. Yes, they have plans and agendas that they want to impose. We have to understand this is a global network of fucking reptilians that are doing all this, right? So basically, like, once again, like, all these events that they've done, it's not necessarily like, I don't know where I'm getting at. I'm basically just trying to say, like, everything that they've done, it goes so much deeper than this, right? Like, they have the power to do, you know, and stage an attack, do this, do that. They have a reptilian leader, right? They have a reptilian that's calling the shots, which is running that nation right now. So basically, you know, there needs to be that white hat movement to fucking collapse the global structure, right? Because I'm not pinpointing it. I haven't said Israel a lot in this video because I'm not trying to pinpoint it on a nation, right? I got information on this particular agency. This is not the people of that country or any of the victims and, you know, of this constant perpetuated war. That's just a distraction of what this fucking agency and what the cult, the global network, is using this for. This is core shit. And the white hats, and once again, with the trafficking, with Epstein still there, Epstein is still, you know, once again, I saw that he's still active. I hit so much in this fucking video. I don't even know how else to explain it, but it's like, once white hats go in and really liberate the area, like, and expose all this, then that area can rebuild, and then there will be peace, because there's not peace there for a fucking reason. It's they're keeping the vibration of that area operating at the lowest possible frequency to keep doing what they are fucking doing, okay? One last thing that I wanted to say. Yes, okay, and then the future timeline, once again, there's going to be a major event, a global event happening between, and this is when I already said this in my remote viewing predictions video, but once again, August of 2027 and the end of 2028. So there's going to be that, like, 16-month window between August of 2027 and December 2028 where, like, everything is just exposed, and all these agencies are going to collapse. So it's like, why would they be wanting to plan to do another, you know, operation? Or, like, why would this agency really, like, the fact that they actually think they could even, like, look that far in advance, like, they're still going to be able to do what they're fucking doing in August of 2027 is mind-blowing, because the whole system is going to collapse by, I literally can't even breathe because I'm talking so fast, by the end of 2028. So once this whole global cult with all these ties, these shadow ties, what this particular organization, there's other, like, Mossads out there, but this is, once again, this is like this is direct work for reptilians. That's what this has come down to. So we went over all the shit, right? There's a few other things that I did find that isn't really... Oh, they also provided the United States military with direct energy weapons for the Maui and LA fires. Okay, well, not surprising, because there's military ties between the two. And they have been actively supporting in HARP and geoengineering. So once again, HARP is a little different because it's like they're separate, but I'm not going to get into HARP right now. But what I saw was they're actually, like, funding HARP. Which is like, what the fuck? Like, how are they funding HARP? This is all connected on a global scale. So once again, this video was a lot, and it had a lot of information, and I, don't even know how long this will stay up for, but I'm happy I covered everything I was able to cover. There was so much information. I think this is the longest video I've ever done because I wanted to share everything and really bring light to what happened to Charlie Kirk, which I was able to find. And it was I went over it. So, yeah, so once again, that's really all I have for today. I have my I'm gonna be doing 2 other videos in March, so this is the first one, and then I have 2 more after this, middle and end of month. So yeah, wow, it's so, this goes so much deeper than really anybody could have ever imagined. So once again, that's all I have for today.